will only avoid any confrontation with the enemy. He'll forget his evil ways and learn to love it.
Hey guys, so quick video. Just it's about stuff that people don't want to talk about. People don't want to talk about the nuances of anything, whether it be history or issues. It usually comes down to a really watered down version of whatever happened or whatever people are arguing. That's why things are like straw mans and gaslighting and all that shit happens all the time. So in an upcoming series, I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of things called I'm going to call it the issues, essentially. And basically what it's going to be covering is all of the different issues that I find are plaguing us as a country, possibly us as a planet, at the current time. And it needs to be acknowledged and talked about. So for the first one here, we're going to talk about the Dixie flag and the Civil War. So, obviously this is a, touchy subject that people get emotional about, so we're going to talk about it, but take into mind that this isn't meant to, offend anyone or anything like that. Not that I'm going to give you a trigger warning. I'm just telling you that this is a fucking serious subject that we should talk about and not get emotional. Reserve your judgment for the end, you know what I'm saying? And have a conversation with me. That's what it's all about. So I'm going to talk about, specifically all these statues that everybody is trying to take down because it reminds them of the Civil War. Like, first off, that's not how history works. History's still going to be there. That fucking statue doesn't represent anything other than what you associate with. It's a fucking symbol, and at the end of the day, a symbol has the power and the meaning that you give it. You know what I'm saying? And, that's, I know, as a person that's been on the receiving end of that information, I know that you don't want to fucking hear that, and you just want to, oh, fuck that thing, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But really, you have to, like, take that and think about it, and think about things that maybe you like, but other people don't like and are offended by, you know what I'm saying? And it really, at the end of the day, fuck how you feel, you know what I'm saying? People will do and are allowed to do what the fuck they want. This is America. So the debate goes that these Confederate statues or whatever are really just a reminder of this terrible time in history, blah, blah, blah. It is. It's exactly what it is. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sorry that you take offense to it and you're like, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it was a horrible time in American history. Hundreds of thousands of people died. And, whether you want to admit that the Civil War was about slavery, it was in part about slavery. And people died to end slavery. Slavery still exists in this fucking world, dude. The Western culture ended it. If you go out there in the world right now, there's fucking slaves. In fact, there's 15,000 slaves that'll go through this country this year. And there's over 75,000 slaves in this country that you don't even fucking know about. When's the last time, if you give so much of a fuck about stopping slavery, why the fuck are you not going out there and stopping this? You're not, because you fucking live a fucking cushy life in a fucking great place like America. But let's save that subject for another day. But I will put some links below where you can go check out and try to help modern day slaves. Like, not like, oh, well, these are different from they're fucking slaves, and it's all happening all across the world, and everybody probably touched a product today, at least one that was touched by a slave. So back to the statues and whatever. One of the main examples I like to take is the Confederate flag. Everybody's like people are. Did you see that video of that dude diving over some caution tape because somebody was waving a fucking Confederate flag? In all honesty, let's be fucking honest. No one fucking really cares. If you are like, it's not a Nazi flag, it's not, you know what I mean? Most of these people wearing, Dixie flags, I fuck with the Dixie flag. We're not fucking about, bringing back slavery or anything like that. And people that are doing that, you know what I'm saying? It's better that they are able to freely express themselves so we know who they are. When you can't say what the fuck you want, you'll never know what people actually think. So, I thought we were all about being real. So, so the Confederate flag, people compare it to the Nazi flag all the time. It's retarded to even do that, because there were Confederate flags flying over tanks as the Allied troops liberated Auschwitz, places like that, you know what I'm saying? And no, there wasn't Confederate soldiers there, but that's exactly my point. That different generations and different fucking cultures will give different meanings to different symbols, and it's up to you to fucking just fucking shut the fuck up, okay? Like, taking down these statues isn't doing anything for anyone. Having these conversations that I'm trying to provoke right now is what needs to happen. And, you know, you wouldn't know any of these things if you weren't talking about it. So things like things are not as clear cut as the mainstream media or historians, because not even historians, historical books, you know what I'm saying, the textbooks at school will claim, because historians know, and people with fucking, you know, an iota of reason and logic would know that there was a lot of things leading up to the tensions between the North and the South of the Civil War. For instance, the entire thing really, while being fought over slavery, at its heart was about the North telling what the South what to do. The North had consolidated power up north. Washington D.C. was basically up north. There was the Industrial Revolution at that time, and all the industry was up north. But that happened because the South had provided all the raw materials. But at that point, you know, North got a little too big for its britches and was trying to tell the South what to do. And it was not about it like they were trying to abolish slavery. But not everybody in the North and not everybody in the South. In fact, I would say mostly a minority were really giving a fuck about slavery. Slavery had existed since the dawn of time at that point, and was probably and was, you know, forecasted to exist for the rest of time. There was slavery going on everywhere in the world at the time, but it was Western culture, like places like France, that had ended slavery. So let's moving forward. We're gonna talk about most of these people that you're idolizing now. Like Lincoln didn't have a high view of black people. He's quoted as saying he doesn't give a fuck about freeing. If he could end the war tomorrow, freeing all the slaves, he would. But if he could end the war tomorrow not freeing a single slave, he would. And if he could end the war tomorrow by freeing some slaves and leaving other slaves alone, he would. He just wanted to fucking keep the Union. That's what it was about. So once the fucking North and South brought these tensions to a head, and they wanted to see, North was like, fuck you, hell no, we need you, you know what I'm saying? The wars fought over that the North needed the South needed the North. The South was being stubborn, the North was being controlling, and shots fired. That's how it fucking goes. Brothers fight brothers all the fucking time. That's what happens. And we don't fucking see it as that. As we look at books now, we look at the South as this fucking villain, and it's especially up north. I've seen both worlds half my life at this point, up north half my life down here, and when you live up north, it's palpable that people hate people from the South. Like, I thought all southern people were fucking racist, and people toting the fucking rebel flag were fucking racists and fucking Klansmen and Nazis. That shit's not true, dude. I've run into way more racism up north than I've ever run into down south. I know it's a bit anecdotal. But I mean, that's my experience. And if we're talking about, personal experiences and being emotional, I've been called some serious shit and been like beaten up by multiple people because of whatever race they thought I was. So it hasn't happened down here. I hang out with everybody down here. I think that there needs to be a discussion and a more open and informed society about our past, because our past is what we're doomed to repeat if we don't see it for what it was. You know what I'm saying? Shit didn't have to happen the way it did. People didn't have to die. A lot of Americans died. All the people involved were Americans. And black people fought for the North and the South. There was a lot of black slave owners in the South at the time of the war. In fact, I think I've seen a metric saying that more black people had slaves by the time of the war than white people, and that's a weird thing to think about. We don't think about any of that shit. You know what I mean? We don't think about Americans 50 years after fighting for the Civil War, a whole new generation fighting in World War II and running the Confederate flag above their tank. Like, we don't fucking think about that, but that shit happened. That shit fucking happened. So you know, if you think that life or whatever is as simple as showing the fuck up about something, like taking out a statue or putting down a flag and not talking about it and censoring some shit, you know what I mean, or having to put it in a museum, that's not how it fucking works. It's not about that. It's not about putting it in a museum. The history's all fucking around us. You can't fucking, oh well, it was too fucking hard, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? When you put all the shit that's happened racially on the South, you're fucking losing and you're fucking uninformed, because that shit was happening. First off, that shit was happening in the entire nation. It wasn't fucking just the South. That shit happened before and after in the North and the South. This wasn't some fucking bunch of fucking angels marching across the Mason-Dixon line and fucking giving freedom to people. That's like saying that that's what we're doing in Iraq, you know what I'm saying? And you know, for better or good, what had happened in the Civil War happened, and if we don't fucking talk about it and we think it's something that it isn't, we're gonna be uninformed of ourselves as a culture, as a fucking country. And how the fuck do you win when you don't even fucking know yourself? Anyway, that's the video. That's the first issue. Just talking about Civil War. Very impromptu video. It's just been all this shit going on. People want to take Robert E. Lee statue. That man is a fucking... Learn yourself something about Robert E. Lee. He was a gentleman. He was against the war. He was doing what he felt was his duty. He was honor bound. Wish people had honor like fucking Robert E. Lee. You want to take down the statue? You want to take this down the statue because of George Washington? Bro, this is the stuff that we need to talk about, and I hope that we can get to the core of some of these issues here. So holler, thank you, subscribe, like, comment, and let's have a discussion about this. If you disagree with me, fucking disagree with me. You know what I mean? I may not agree with what you say, but I'll fight to the death your right to say it, and I believe in that shit. So, anyway, Arthur Fantastic, GoldenRuffian YouTube, holler at your boy.